you do not need to enjoy cooking in order to eat nutritiously. Okay. All that does is put a roadblock between you and eating the food that is absolutely going to make you feel great, with like the silly thing of like, well, you have to love to cook. Like, no, you don't. You can love your microwave and still crush healthy eating and eat nutritiously.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Rachael. So happy to have you here. Our friends are back for another week, Kels, and we could not be happier to be enjoying this Tuesday with you.
You know, you guys are the real ones. We're actually so thankful you come back week after week to invest in yourself and chat with us to just hear some of the ideas that we have. But I really think like that investment into like, I would really like to change the way I'm thinking about fitness, nutrition. I'd like to hear some thoughts from some degenerates on
We got them. We got the degenerates and we got the thoughts.
You know, in an unpolished way that you can just hang out and talk with your friends and just
we got the breathy laughs.
Oh, shit, you triggered it.
Yeah.
God damn it. You triggered me.
Yeah. Easy laugh.
You know, I can't help it. And we have a really cool episode for you guys this week, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really excited about it because there are some snobby ideas around nutrition in the fitness space. It's so pinky up all the time. And it's really been like, it's almost gotten worse with like the progression of social media, because I was watching one of these spoofs with one of the influencers every day. Every day I get up at 5 a.m. and it's like the camera's set up with like it's almost like this dream wake up with this like beautiful bed. And I'm like, how? Yeah, I was like, wait, how are your covers like that? Like, I'm just wondering, like, I'm tangled in my covers.
Who opened the shades for you?
And like my hair is like, and I'm like, wow, that's a nice, do you brush it in your sleep? Like, what is happening? And then it's like, then I make my, magical drink and all of these things. And I'm like, wow, this is the only way. It seems like sometimes. And if that's your experience in the morning, I'm totally here for it. To each their own. But it sometimes seems like that is the only way to have a healthy start to your morning, and the only way to eat healthy, and the only way to get the body composition you're looking for, the only way to feel good in your body is to kind of do some of these really intricate and complicated things and routines that some of us are like, I don't know if that's me.
Well, first of all, it looks very expensive.
Yeah.
That looks expensive to wake up looking that good. And with that amount of covers, like, how much money is just in your bed alone? Now, from last week or whatever we did the podcast on aging, like, I feel that you should invest in your mattress. So your mattress, that should be where all your money is, not underneath it, but like in it.
It definitely should be. But here's something that idea kind of brought up for me, is that this one way of achieving this thing that you'd like to do, that there's only one way to do it. And we use this in several aspects of our life. And the one kind of like recently for me, because it happens in the fitness space all the time. If you would like to live a healthy lifestyle, you need to do it exactly like this. And, Rachel had said this funny thing to me when I was deciding to buy a house, of like where I was going to live. She said, if you're going to live in this place, like that's Home Depot, girl. Like, you're going to spend your weekends at Home Depot and you're going to be like planting things. And I was like, well, I don't want to be Home Depot, girl. I haven't been to Home Depot one time. Not one single time. You know why?
You didn't go with that house.
No, I did. Well, it's the same, this area. This is the same thing. it's like, I'm just not Home Depot girl. And I like, when you make a change, it just brought this up to the forefront for me, because when you make a change, you make a decision. A lot of people do this when it comes to their health and fitness lifestyle. And they say, like, I'm going to be 5 a.m. gym girl. I need to work the gym into my lifestyle. And it has to be, I'll be 5 a.m. gym girl, because that's the only way to do it right. Is it? Is it the way for you? Because you can still be, a gym girly, a little girl who lives a healthy lifestyle, work the gym into your daily routine in your own way. You get to make it into the way that works actually for you in your life and who you are as a person. I believe that I'm never going to be Home Depot girl. Like, I think that's not in my journey. Although I would like to, live in a place that makes me feel comfortable and make improvements around the house. But like, if I have an option to go out on a boat or go to Home Depot, she's going on the boat.
Well, I mean, that's just living the dream. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the elitist, here's the thing about anything. Humans want to stand out. So
Yeah.
like if they can turn anything into an opportunity to stand out and like be like, look how elitist I am, like they'll do it, right? Health is no different. Nutrition is no different. Fitness is no different. But the thing that I hate when it enters into this realm is that sometimes it makes people think that this thing is unattainable without a certain amount of wealth or without a certain amount of motivation or without a certain background or like all of these things that play into this elitist, especially when it comes to nutrition. It's just this idea that I would do that if I had what they have, but I don't, so I can't. And I think it holds a lot of people back from reaching their true potential, is just simply the idea that they do not have the background, the knowledge, the wealth, the whatever, the resources to be able to do this at the top level. And I hate that, because I just think that when you dumb it down, those are just people that are looking to stand out, because every human being is looking to be seen, right? But that is not the only way to do it. And in fact, not even the most effective way to do it in many cases. So I just want to blow the doors wide open with regards to especially nutrition with this episode, in that if you have ever thought that you do not have the money or the time or the experience, like the background, to be able to have nutrition be a big part of your life, I want to challenge that today. And I want to open up the possibilities for you that you have every single tool that you need to eat nutritiously right now, today. You don't need to wait. You don't need to make more money. You don't need to learn. You don't have to read more recipe books. You don't have to like get a new job that allows you to have more hours. None of that. Right now, today, you have everything you need. And like, let's work with that.
I think beyond some other spaces of where there is some gatekeeping surrounding how much money you have or what your status is, when it comes to health, I think this is where it is particularly bothersome, where this becomes very prevalent, because we're gatekeeping health.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Well, if you think about it, it's really not, because what the most commonly gate kept things are typically the most sought after things, right? The things that are like the ultimate, your most sought after is really health, right? Because there is nothing else without health. Money without health doesn't matter. Any status without health doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Health is the ultimate goal. So the fact that it would be gate kept early isn't that surprising to me, because it's like, right? It's like the number one thing on the planet that you can't just have without the work involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, so here's how this idea came to light with us too. Is it we had watched a bunch of we always get our pulse our finger on the pulse out there with some of these videos. What is being talked about in the health and fitness space? And I think one of the ones that both Rachel and I watched was this guy kind of ripping apart. Was it broccoli? It was
I
some
think.
some vegetable where like he was just spouting some bullshit
Yeah.
with really just like putting down anything that was frozen or didn't have access to like organic and blah blah blah, blah. Just like kind of going in and just being like, well, you can't eat too much of this, like just overcomplicating the whole situation. And anyone who gets like really deep in any type of space can do this with any subject, as we know. But the idea that you are not eating healthy or you're not able to meet your nutritional goals to feel good in your body unless you are eating all organic, fresh, blah, 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 and not eating any canned vegetables or frozen, whatever, is just bullshit. Like, it really is just bullshit because, like, something that could have changed your day around with like, well, this is what I have access to right now and this is how I could get some nutrients in. But because I have put it on a pedestal of like, that's not good enough, well, I'm just gonna get like Chick-fil-A instead.
It's so, remember the episode we did on like that's not balance? Like, okay, so the idea that canned or frozen would be so insuperior that it wouldn't even be worth eating is so asinine and like the most ridiculous thing, right? But this is gatekeeping number one. This is like you can only do health the right way if you are going to buy all fresh produce, all organic. And guess what? You have to have a bunch of money for that. And if you don't have it, then off you go to McDonald's. You're just not going to be on the like that's ridiculous. And it's so infuriating because I think that mindset has now come into like the common culture that like when you talk to people about nutritious food, the number one thing that comes back is like, oh, I would do that, but it's so expensive. And so it's not only being gatekept, but now it's being put forth in a way of like, you actually can't do this. And here's the roadblock why. I don't have the money to be able to eat healthy. Let's break that down for a second, because this is really just something that is supposed to keep you out of a club that you belong in. Okay. So, like, there's no black card to get into the healthy eating club. Fresh fruits and vegetables are the superior choice. Frozen and canned just aren't as healthy. This is the number one misconception. Okay, not true. Not true. The reason why a lot of people think eating healthy is so expensive is because they repeatedly throw out organic $7 moldy green beans out of the back of their fridge and they say, this is such a waste of money. I can't keep throwing out money like this. You don't have to do that.
I think that's one of the ones that hit for me too, because I've made nutrition a primary focus in my life for many, many years now. And there are some things that I've learned along the way with my busy lifestyle that continues to wherever it goes, it's still very busy. So even if it takes another turn, it's like, well, I actually enjoy being very busy. Um, and where it comes to preparing foods or what I think I'm going to want to eat for the rest of the week completely goes out the window because I don't know who's going to show up tomorrow. No, she still likes green beans. And it is very expensive when you kind of put a lot of effort into buying all of those things maybe at the beginning of the week and then you toss them out because they're moldy or you decided to go a different direction or whatever throughout the week. And now they're old. If that's you, if you say like, I'm just repeatedly throwing things out, why not switch to something frozen?
It doesn't make any sense. Like when we're asked, what's the best workout you can possibly do? The one that you'll do, that one. What's the best kinds of fruits and vegetables to consume? The one you'll eat. If it's going in the trash, you have not eaten it. And that means it is not superior to the one that sat in the freezer, had more options, and ended up getting ate. That's the superior one. I think, when we talk about cost, frozen and canned are like half the price of fresh produce. I think canned ended up being like, when I was looking up the price, it's like a quarter of the price of fresh produce. And they last infinitely longer. So the idea that these will eventually be able to work their way into your body somehow, if you are a constant thrower awayer of fresh produce, it makes so much sense. And I think that, also, there's so much more likely to be sales when it comes to frozen and canned. Like they almost are always doing BOGO on cans. Like, oh, buy one green bean, get the next one free. Frozen often has sales, but you really don't see a lot of sales on fresh produce, unless it's like on its last leg. And I get tricked into that all the time because I'm like, oh, yeah, green beans are on sale. I don't want to eat green beans this week, but like they're on sale. Get them. Moldy. Why did I pay? That's not good girl math right there.
That's not good girl math right
You
there.
bought it on sale. It went bad in one day, and then you never ate it, and you put it in the trash. That's not good math right there. And I know that which one's more nutrient rich? This is freaking slicing hairs. How do you say that?
How do you say slicing hairs?
No, how do you say like when
splitting hairs? Oh,
splitting hairs, not slicing them.
Sorry, I was like, I don't know.
I'm not slicing them. It's splitting hairs, because again, if it's not getting into your body, there are no nutrients. So there's no sense in being like, whoa, fresh produce has, X amount more nutrients, but when I throw it in the trash, like the compost pile gets all those nutrients. Like that's silly. That's silly.
Here's something that I like to think about with this is like, if you are someone who is like, nah, I buy a bunch of fresh produce and I eat it all the time, like hats off to you, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
If you are someone who is somewhere in the middle there, where like sometimes you buy fresh produce and you like have a plan and you use it, and then sometimes you find yourself in an emergency, I would suggest having it frozen or canned anyway, because you always have a backup plan. And when it comes to just like building a nutritious lifestyle, you can't plan on having your shit together all the time.
Oh God, no.
Honestly, like that's where we set ourselves up for failure, and where a lot of people drop off in January is that they set these goals to think that they're going to maintain perfection every week through the rest of the year. And it's like, perfection is not the goal. It really isn't. Getting to know yourself and being honest with yourself, honest with your lifestyle, honest with your strengths, and what you can do. That's really where you thrive, because, and this is in all aspects, as soon as you become honest with the person that you are, what you really like, what you really want, the lifestyle you really want to live, not just based on what you saw online with somebody else's lifestyle. If they decide like, oh, I feel super great when I eat like this, like, is that how you feel great? I don't know, because you have to decide for yourself. And that is the same thing that happens with some of these, lifestyle choices when it comes to nutrition, is that like, yeah, sometimes you might be, do your grocery shopping at the beginning of the week, and you know that you like the fresh produce better, and you stock up for that and you're going to use it. But you have to leave some wiggle room for times that like that might not happen, and you still have good options available to you to fill in the blanks. I do this all the time, because there are times where like I know, I get some fresh produce, I have a plan for it, I use it throughout the week, and I don't throw away the avocados, because you give them 30 seconds, they go bad.
Damn it.
The avocados are tough.
I just
guys.
looked at it wrong. Brown.
It's like, I'm ready to go. I'm brown. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow. I was mid-cutting. I was cutting you. Wow.
But I always have, for me, like frozen things available because I am very aware that there are times that I'm going to have my shit together and eat some delicious meals. And there are other times where I'm going to need to be able to throw a couple things together that I know are going to make me feel good and that I'll need to kind of fall back on. And I talked to on my Instagram about this over the week when it came to traveling, because everyone had basically the same question, like, what do you eat while you're traveling? Because the conception there is that you only eat out while you're traveling. And for me, I know I'm going to feel like shit if I do that. Number one, I'm going from, place to place. I'm exposed to more germs. That's when I want to be honestly at my best nutritionally, because I want my immune system to be working. I want my energy levels to be there so that I'm not dragging on and off the plane, so that I can show up for you guys on the next morning after coming off a flight and have something fairly intelligent to say, because I don't want to be dragging ass just because my lifestyle involves traveling. So I prepare for that in a very simple way. And I think everyone was so kind of shocked by how simple it could be. Like, I only got like 5 things. I wasn't Martha Stewart going through being like, so we slice all of our chicken. That's not me. So if you want like a complex
marinated
recipe,
for 19 years before this,
then
not
we smoked
a
it.
day short, or it will taste like shit.
Like, that's not me. That's not what it is gonna boil down to for me. But I know there are spices that I like to use that make things tasty, or some dressings that I like to use that make things tasty. And I know the foods that I'm always willing to eat. And when you look at, your overall nutrition, when you look at how much protein intake you're taking in, do you have vegetables? Do you have some type of carb? That's the baseline for what you're looking at. How you fill in those blanks based on what you like, whether it's organic or not, whether it's fresh or frozen, it's really just a fill in the blank.
And it really is just what works for you. Because like you said, like when you come home and you're more in your routine, you might choose some fresh stuff. And when you're traveling, like absolutely not. You're going to go frozen because like that just makes more sense. And
fresh
I know
broccoli this morning.
Oh, shit,
Yesterday
girl.
was all that while I was traveling, frozen broccoli with my ex, because I know it's just something that I can, if I don't eat it the whole time, I leave it. Like, it's something that I know is a go-to for me, but I didn't miss any. You guys know about my breakfast habits. I have to have a vegetable in my breakfast every day. I didn't miss that while I was traveling. I just made it frozen.
And crushed, honestly. And why not? Why grab like a breakfast sandwich?
See the alternative there?
Yeah, right. I know, because that's immediately where I went. Yeah, it's true. I want to, before we move on past why like canned and frozen is totally an awesome option, I do want to address organic for a second. Yeah. Because I know that a lot of people are rightfully concerned about the amount of pesticides they're consuming. I think that it is absolutely concern. I want to head this with saying like eating fruits and vegetables that are not organic versus not eating fruits and vegetables. Okay, the benefits from eating non-organic fruits and vegetables outweigh not eating them at all. Okay, so we just need to like put that out there. But further on the gatekeeping of like true health, right? Oh, well, you can only really eat healthy if you're eating organic. Is it the best option? Sure. But here's the thing. It's super expensive. It often is only coming in the form of fresh. There are a lot more frozen organic options now. But here's one thing that I want to point out that I think it can really calm some people's nerves. First of all, when it comes to organic stuff or when it comes to pesticides in general, The freezing and the canning process actually takes out significantly more pesticides than if you were to get it fresh, non-organic. Because when they're canning it, they're washing it and peeling it usually. So like that's a whole process that is stripping the fruit or the vegetable of a ton of the pesticides that were previously there if it was non-organic. Same thing with frozen. Is like a very specific process to how they're cleaning it and when they're freezing it, and that is actually shown in studies to reduce the number of pesticides if you were to compare that to regular non-organic broccoli that wasn't frozen or canned. So, there's an option there. If you're saying I can't afford to buy organic and I also can't afford to buy fresh produce. Well, good, because the non-organic versions are better in canned or frozen when it comes to pesticides. And the other thing that I wanted to remind people of is there are better ways. When you're thinking about pesticides, there are things to prioritize, right? If you're going to eat the skin of something, for example, you're going to go fresh produce and you're going to eat the skin. Strawberries, apples, pears, peaches, spinach. Like it's not going to be peeled in any way. That is going to have the most pesticides. So those things, like if you want to eat strawberries and you do not want to spring for the organic strawberries, your better option is frozen strawberries, pesticide wise. And the things like onions, potatoes, bananas, all the things with skin that you're actually going to peel the skin off, kiwis, stuff like that, those are not places to spring for organic because those have the least amount of pesticides anyways, because the food you're actually consuming has been stripped of like anything that's been sprayed on it essentially. So those are things like if you're going to buy potatoes, there's no need really to buy organic. Like don't prioritize organic there if you're budgeting, right? Onions, like stuff like that. If you're wanting to put your money towards fresh produce that is going to be less pesticides, put it towards the things like your strawberries and your apples. Go organic with things you're going to consume the skin if you can, or go frozen. It's love season. It's the
We're
season
interrupting
of
this
love.
podcast to tell you about the season of love.
Oh my God, I love love. Don't you love love?
No.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, I do.
Yeah, okay. You can't really go back on that statement. It was like you already went too far down that road. You don't love love, but we have our Valentine's collection dropping, and it's for the lovers of love and the anti-lovers of love, because we got that Avril pattern, which I feel is anti-love.
Listen, you can go in either direction. So you could go self-love, love with a mate, love with a partner, whatever you want to do, but it already dropped this past Friday and is available for purchase right now. And if you haven't checked out any of our shirts, we got some pretty sassy ones for Valentine's Day. We always do it really nice. So pick up all of your goods for this upcoming February and just plan it. Get hot. That's a great point for people who are concerned about pesticides and where to decide that you want to allocate more money towards this, or where you're going to push that around, because there is definitely a difference. And it's not just like, well, I think most people are not in the camp of, well, I just eat all organic or not. And a lot of people are right there in the middle, where like sometimes when I can, but like these are the specific foods where you it would be better to prioritize some of those decisions.
That always helped me in the grocery store when I'm like going in and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to spend.
Yeah.
And this is the produce that I want. Where is my money going to be best spent as far as limiting pesticides? And I always am like, well, it's either no strawberries or organic strawberries, because I just don't want to do that.
Well, that's it's a good realization to see where your values are, where your priorities are, guys. If you are someone who is like, I'm not concerned about that, I'm at the baseline of like, am I going to get a Dunkin' Donuts sandwich, or am I going to go to the grocery store? Like whatever you're getting at Dunkin' Donuts is not organic.
Lord, it's not organic. It's not. I don't even know if it's really food or ever has been food.
Or McDonald's, whatever.
Right.
Any of those things. If you guys have heard about the McDonald's sandwich that was in the coat pocket for like a year,
No mold.
It didn't go bad. It's like, what the fuck is on that? And I'm not trying to knock any of these things, but like, you decide what it is that you want to be concerned about. And I'm not going to tell you which way or the other. Like, if you're someone who's like, I'm just not concerned, in the world of what I'm concerned about, pesticides isn't in there. Okay, cool. Then cool.
Yeah.
If you are in the camp of that is something I'm concerned at, where can I make some of those changes? Okay, cool, we got you too. But whatever camp you're in, you get to decide what are the things that I'm concerned about. And if I've come into this podcast thinking that I don't have the funds and I don't have the knowledge to be able to eat a healthy lifestyle, we're covering all of the bases here, because we're going to just continue to discuss different options that might work for you. Take what you want, leave what you don't.
Yeah, and take all of that misconception that it is completely gate kept and only available to you if you are swimming in money. Take that right out of it. That's the whole point, is that there are so many options. And I really like to like the rice, the pasta, the lentils. Like, I buy those in bulk when I can.
Yeah,
because
so
that's a great option.
that's been so much easier too. Like, technology has done a really nice job at allowing us to be able to prepare some of those things in smaller portions where they can be delicious. So I'm glad you brought up rice like that, because I do minute rice. Like, it's always in my cabinets. So like, either you can have those packets where you get 90 seconds, you get a thing of rice, instead of oldie days. Maybe some of you guys are still doing this, where you're like making rice on the stove, and in that you have to wash it all first. you gotta boil the water. Like, that's too much for me on a daily basis. Like, the idea that I have to boil anything, I'm like, I don't even have a strainer. What's gonna happen? This dirty rice.
I'm serious that I think that people will be surprised. Like, I think that people think, they see a certain body composition and they see a certain commitment level to nutrition, and they're like, oh, she probably doesn't use a microwave. Oh God. I mean, like, sis is over here cooking minute rice and doesn't own a strainer. Like, guys, like, it's just not as hard as we're making it out to be.
And if you're someone who, is on the go a lot too, where like, that, you're going into the office, right? And like, honestly, reheating some of the rice like days after just is kind of gross for me. But when you take the packets with you, you literally just throw them in your backpack. 90 seconds.
They don't need to be refrigerated. They don't. I mean, like, it's technology, man.
Technology, man, has really made it accessible for us. But there are these tips and tricks that some of us, like, just, if you haven't been in the game for a little bit, you just don't think about it. You just think, like, you see the full done meal and you watch these influencers spend 5 hours preparing, a whole chicken and rice. And you know what I mean? Like, you see this whole thing happen and you're like, well, if I got a rotisserie chicken, a minute rice, and some frozen broccoli, would I get the same thing?
I mean, I'm just saying, and it probably would taste just as freaking good. Yeah. And I just, for anybody that might have like had a pause when we said about stacking up on carbs in a healthy lifestyle, guys, carbs are a part of a healthy lifestyle. Okay. we're not eliminating any food group whatsoever. And yes, absolutely, rice, pasta, lentils, these are all, sweet potatoes, these should all be a part of your everyday nutrition. Okay. Just wanted to, because
If
people were
it
like, did
feels
she say
if it
pasta?
did she say pasta? If
And a
it feels
healthy
good,
thing?
well, if it feels good for you, like you learn some of these things over time, like what you could consume throughout the day or the week and how it makes you feel. Like note it. If pasta, for example, makes you feel more lethargic and um you're better off with a higher protein and more veggies, go for that too. Like the
Oh,
idea
sure. I'm not saying
isn't
like eat
to
if you're
take
gluten intolerant to
yeah.
like load up on pasta.
No, but
You
the
gotta know.
idea isn't to take this like whatever food group that we're demonizing, and we've talked about this in the past, that like, oh, I should just limit or I should eat less of that thing, even though I'm ignoring all of the cues from my body that tell me that I feel good when I eat these. Like none of these are designed to be limited. None of them are designed to be the enemy in living a healthy lifestyle. It's not fruit, it's not carbs, it's not protein, it's not any of these other things. Like decide what feels good for you.
Um, Second kind of gatekeeping thing, obviously, is, as you said, like these, really amazing, I'll just keyword amazing people who enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
Okay. They enjoy it genuinely. They like to spend time on it. Like I remember
It's a love
someone
language.
someone was like, one time I was like planning a vacation and they were like, "Oh, do you want to like take a cooking class?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I
Do
can't
you want to
think
take
of
a cleaning
something."
class?
My God, I cannot think of an everyday task that I would much rather not do on vacation. Like, oh, do I want to clean the bathrooms too? Like, no, I don't want to take a
I would like to
freaking
go
cooking
around the
class.
resort and clean the bathrooms.
My God, like a hard no. Okay.
Mm.
You do not need to enjoy cooking in order to eat nutritiously. Okay. Just want to say that out there. We're not baking bread from, look, it's rising. And that's the only way to eat bread. Like, we're not doing that anymore, because all that does is put a roadblock between you and eating the food that is absolutely going to make you feel great, with like the silly thing of like, well, you have to love to cook. Like, no, you don't. You can love your microwave and still crush healthy eating and eat nutritiously, because honestly, the options are great. Frozen things, canned things, rotisserie chickens. Like, if you don't like to cook, you can make an awesome like wrap with like some lunch meat, some, spinach and lettuces. Like, you can get some rice in there. Like, you don't even have to like be like physically eating on the stove, like cooking a thing, stirring the pot and shit. Like, did you see me doing my pot? This is me when I'm cooking. I'm like, God,
What do you
I
have
hate everything. I'm gonna have
what
to
do you have, a
clean all
cauldron?
this.
What do you, a wish?
I literally frown
These are
while
my
I'm stirring.
dreams. Here's the
This is gonna
thing.
have to be washed after.
Some people love cooking and it really genuinely is their love language. And I love that for you. For those people, what I want to say to you is that if you generally love cooking and the idea of changing to a healthy lifestyle feels like sad salads, and now you can't enjoy cooking and you can't enjoy the foods that you are making, we got to squash that mindset, because there's two camps here. People who love cooking and say like, well, I love cooking lasagna, you know what I mean? Like, cool,
Comfort foods.
comfort food, like
Yeah.
that can be a part of it, but I would really like to make a healthy lifestyle change for myself and my family. Okay, that just requires some relearning of the things that you like to do, just like anything else. So, if traditionally you are someone who has loved cooking, but you cook with a ton of butter, you cook with some things that you would like to start eliminating from your diet, maybe you have high cholesterol, blood pressure, all of these, health markers that you would like to bring down, and you're the one who is doing the cooking, and the thing that you love is mixed in with something that's hurting your health. What you need to do here is just reframe the fact that healthy food is gross. You can't spend time cooking, love cooking, and people are going to love eating it. That's just some old bullshit that is just not true. You do
I
need to
Can I use the
change.
lasagna as
Yeah,
a
you
as a
love lasagna.
well, I know. I actually I don't love cooking lasagna, but I understand people who do. And like the faces when people eat your lasagna and you're just so happy. Okay. Here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to change over to zucchini lasagna and have everyone like, it's very good. And think that like that's the new I don't think I think that that's what people think when they are like looking to like, oh well, I want to, keep my cooking, but I want to like health up some of my recipes. I'll make a cauliflower pizza crust. I'll make a zucchini lasagna. I'm not saying, listen, if you love zucchini lasagna, crush it, girl. But what I'm saying is sometimes people are taking their favorite foods and trying to like health them up. And then they're like, I don't like this. And then it's ruining it. You can have lasagna. We're just not having it like 8 times a month. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that needs to change. I think you should keep your lasagna, but I just think like you should make sure that there's a significant like vegetable source that is also going on the side of it, like that, like how many times a month you're cooking that you're cognizant of that and stuff like that. I think that's the better change rather than trying to health up these recipes that you already love and having them taste subpar. That's just my opinion.
Definitely, definitely. There's a couple ways you can go with that. I do think that on the other side of that, there are some small changes that while people are cooking that they could make
Oh,
that won't
100%.
that they won't notice or make a difference. Like the amount of butter you're putting in something, or like some of the I can't even remember what that like fat is called.
Lard.
Lard that we're cooking with, like you might not even like notice some of the differences that you're putting in some of these foods, or you might like it better, or you might feel better. And what's the give and take? What are you willing? And this is a personal decision. 100%. Lasagna is a great example of this because I used to love lasagna. Lasagna started not loving me back. And
I'm sorry about
I
that.
know. And so like consciously, like I started making a choice of when that was going to be worth it for me or not worth it for me. Because at the end of the day, like I don't like feeling like shit. So if you are, constantly cooking things and you're like, well, I love it, but I don't love the way it's making me feel. It's a give and take there. Like, well, how are you going to work it into your lifestyle where you do love the way that it makes you feel? In your life, and putting some effort into finding some new recipes that might be delicious for you. Eating healthy can absolutely be delicious, but it does take some effort. And for a lot of people who their family history, there's recipes that have been passed down through generations, have led to a very unhealthy lifestyle for them. And this can come up with a lot of feelings because there is a lot of like emotion surrounding food and nostalgia, and this was passed down for me, but now I have a ton of health concerns that I'm now seeing in my family as well, and I would really like it to stop. I would like to adjust it with me. Where in this generation is this going to stop, where we're passing things down that we can feel like are going to make us feel good, that are going to make us feel healthy. And you can just insert some of those recipes for your family that you could love, but it's going to take a little extra work. It's going to take some revamping of maybe some of the things that you use, and some thoughts about like how you can incorporate some of the things that are healthy, but also some of the things that you enjoy.
So it's so worth it. It's so worth the effort for sure. And I think that's a great segue into our last kind of gatekeeping mentality, that healthy food doesn't taste good. And I
Couple things here.
totally get this.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things, because I totally get this and I have been there, right? I've been on the like, I'm going to go on a diet and that means all my food is going to taste horrible and bland. And that is how I show that it's working, right? That's how I struggle. The worse my food tastes, the more I have to choke it down, the more skinny I'm gonna be. Like,
That's where
I've
the
been
salad
here.
thing has taken over, where like the only way that you eat the only way you eat healthy is if you're eating a salad. This it's like such a weird cultural thing too, because like if someone orders salad at a table that you're on, you're like, oh, you're being good. It's like, no, I'm not being good or bad or any other way. Like I could have easily ordered mac and cheese. That's how I'm feeling today.
I like salad, actually.
I like salad.
Especially if it's like a lot of cheese. I'm like, okay, let's find the cheesiest thing in the menu. Oh, it happens to be a salad. Well, we're going with that. Here's the thing about taste. First of all, it's highly subjective. And secondly, it has a lot to do with what you've been previously exposed to. And a lot of us have had a very long history of highly processed foods. And you have to come into this journey recognizing that and recognizing the effects that that is going to leave you with. Because if you've had a lot of highly processed food in your past, you are working with taste buds that have been exposed to artificial sweeteners that are 200 to 300 more times more sweet than sugar. Okay. So that's what your taste buds are routinely used to, 200 times more the sweetness of sugar. Salt intake, sodium that is off the charts in processed food. It has us over the daily recommended amount of sodium, like by like 1,000 milligrams, just off of like these like pre-made meals and these processed foods that are just like so much sodium. These things are tricking you into thinking that that's the way food tastes. 200 times sweeter than sugar, so much salt that it's like extremely flavorful. Low fat and no fat alternatives that are just chock full with artificial everything, sweeteners, sodium. It's all masking there's like a missing flavor there. It's the fat. Fat actually tastes really great. And when you take it out of foods, they taste like shit. So we have to put in other things to trick your taste buds. And all of this is leading to the fact that like you might think that food tastes weird when it's not extremely sweet or extremely salty. And that is just a thing that and when you come into this, you just have to recognize this about yourself.
I want people to get away from this is a personal fault or a failure of
No.
theirs,
Mm-mm.
because there has been an entire movement, and if you watch the evolution of processed food and how we have been able to keep up with supply and demand with the massive increase of our population, people living longer, and the demand of food within within society, and then the demand of food to to the degree of when we have decided that this thing is bad for you, this is making people larger or whatever, in larger bodies, this is what's making people overweight. Like there's been several different devils in the evolution of processed food that we've decided that we'll remove this. And Rachel brought up a great point when it comes to removing fat from food, because there was an entire portion of time in food processing where the diet culture decided fat equals body fat. That's not true. It was like looking back on it, such a silly thing, because when you look at what fats are in food, for example, avocado is an extremely the fat in avocado is high, but the messaging was fat that is in food is making you have more body fat. We will remove all of the fat in food.
I always just think like, if I eat like a pineapple, do I become a pineapple? Does my sweat taste very sweet? Like it's just
all
such
of a sudden
a
you're
weird
a pineapple
thing. It's like when you
It
swallow the watermelon seed.
Yeah.
Like
it was a weird, the diet culture has done a lot of weird things, and this has been one that has stuck out in the evolution of food, and it continues to take on its new forms when we decide who is going to be the enemy, whether it's going to be carbs, whether it's going to be fat, whatever else is going to be next. There was a portion of time where everyone was only eating red meats. What? How's your blood pressure?
We're South Beach. Yeah.
South Beach, or Atkins.
Right. Oh my God.
So like all of these things have had their time. And when we started removing all of the fats from food, we started adding in sugar. And that's what Rachel was getting at. And how your body processes sugar. And then when we decided sugar was the enemy, we said, we'll put in fake sugar.
We've got it now.
So you can watch all of these messaging when it comes to the marketing of food and what we consider low-fat milk, and what we've decided is going to be the thing that we are going to demonize in society right now. So that, sorry, some guys just showed up. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, should you check on that?
I probably should check on that. I'm just going to finish this thought. But that has just been something that you've been exposed to, and it's not a personal fault of your own.
Yeah, and don't do what I did. Don't try to make the food as gross as possible with the preconceived notion that means it's healthier, that struggle, that disgusting taste. Like, no, that isn't it. That's never been it. Don't go for sad salads if you hate salads. Don't boil your chicken and be like, look at me with no flavor. That must mean I'm eating healthy. Like, this is just not it. It's not healthy does not mean bland. It never has. So, do the thing where you stroll.
You're not winning at health the more you suffer.
No. Or anything. You know what? Anything. Just plug in. You're not winning at blank just because you're suffering. Okay. I can't get that through my thick ass skull, but I'm working on it. If you just
share it more with your friends, we just keep talking about it, right?
I'm just going to keep making it normal, and then one day I'll believe it. Spices, marinades, sauces, like these things are your friends. Please use them. Please do not say like, I'm on a healthy diet, so I can't put any sauce on my anything. Like, God, no. Obviously you need to have a look at the ingredients. Sure. Like we're making changes. We always are looking at the ingredients, right? But like there's so many quality ingredient sauces out there right now, and marinades. Like Primal Kitchen is doing a great job of making some absolutely fantastic marinades with super clean ingredient lists. And so like these things are available now. Going into that aisle doesn't just mean processed bullshit all over the place. So get into the spices, the sauces, the marinades, like get into those things and find some really, really yummy, like stuff that you look forward to instead of like, oh God, how am I going to choke this down?
Get saucy.
Let's get saucy, girls. I think it's time to get saucy. I've been saucy.
You've been saucy.
Mm-hmm.
As always, this is a learning process, and I just encourage you all to lean into some of those learnings and decide what it is that works for you, and not just discard something if it doesn't work out one time, or if you haven't, if in some way some influencer you follow says like that's not the ideal way to do things. If it's the ideal way to do something for you and it works better than some of the ways you're doing it right now, it is the healthiest way for you.
Sounds ideal to me.
You can eat healthy on a budget. You can eat delicious foods that also feel good for you. You can do it while you're traveling, while you're on the move, and be honest with the type of lifestyle that you live and what will fit into that to make you feel good in your body on a daily basis, because ultimately that's our goal.
Love it. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. We love you, and we will see you next week.